This is the exact opposite of what you'd expect Table Rock Lake to be like during a summer day. But in July, that's exactly what happened for a weekend the day after this tragedy occurred, with still empty waters. Now, one of the most powerful images we saw while working here a year ago was a tribute that somebody left on the shoreline by painting rocks here. We tried to find it, and we did. A little bit faded, but the rocks are still around, encouraging people to never forget. Daniel Shedd, back with us for this. This is a year later, still quiet on this lake. Does it bring you any reminders of how things were?
It's a little surreal to be back, I can tell you that much. I love the Ozarks. It's great to be back. Not the best circumstances to be back. It's still one of those things where you think it's been a year. It's incredible that it's been that long, but here we are. You talked about the rocks being down there. This is a stain, and this is a tattoo, and this is something that has marked the Ozarks moving forward. But really something that we're not going to forget anytime soon.
Yeah, it's solemn for sure, something that sticks with you. We were out there together with this, and for me, it was a lot of disbelief. Part of that is being a journalist, as we've talked about. You have a job to do and you have to focus on that. But personally, when I was getting ready at my own home to go into work, to come down to Branson, I definitely had some disbelief, just thinking, this isn't real, is it?
It was complete disbelief, and still to this day, it's one of the longest really weeks of our lives. That's both professionally and personally. I mean, you talk about just the roller coaster of events of learning that A, this duck boat had sunk, but then B, how many victims were on board, and then even following that up of learning the stories of those victims and of those survivors. It really just kind of brings weight to the situation, but absolutely surreal to think that it's been a year.
Before we even went down to Branson to do our part of the coverage for viewers of the Ozarks, you had your own lesson in learning about Ride the Ducks. You did a piece putting everything together, talking about how these rides came to be, and they've had some issues before, right?
Yeah, so they really came to rise back in World War II. They stormed the beaches of Normandy. We actually just passed the 75th anniversary of D-Day. That's where these duck boats really came to fame. And it wasn't until much later that they actually became used for tourist attractions. And so we were able to glean a lot of information about kind of their history, about how something like this could happen in our own backyard. But yeah, still incredible to go back and to think that a duck boat sank right in our own backyard, and to just put all that together in such a quick amount of time.
And we were able to speak with then Mayor Karen Best. That kind of gave me a little bit of inspiration and hope. Doing what a mayor does, though, she had that positive outlook. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, it was positive, and it was really the first emotion that we can inject into the story. Leading up to that, it was a lot of facts and a lot of figures, and you had Jamie Warner on the air talking about the wind speeds and the wind gusts and the rise of the waves.
And why this happened, how that happened. Yeah.
Right, but we had no boots on the ground per se to talk about the individual stories of these people that were impacted, and that was big. What was the biggest moment that stood out for you, though, that morning?
We went to the Ride the Ducks parking lot area, and seeing those flowers that were placed on windshields, we were just there trying to assess what happened. There were cars there from passengers that had passed away, and it kind of hits you, no one's coming back to these vehicles, and someone put flowers on the windshields there. That was a powerful moment, and especially once you process it and you saw the reaction from people on Facebook and Twitter reacting to that, that had my throat well up a little bit.
We never actually confirmed this, but I remember significantly one of the vehicles on that property was a family van. Mm-hmm. And we know that the Coleman family, it's one of the first interviews that we got as KOLR10. It was an exclusive interview with Tia Coleman.
Right.
She lost all of her family members on that boat, including an infant. And one of the chilling remarks that she said while she was in the hospital was talking about how when they lift that boat up out of the water, you're going to see all of those life jackets up top, that no one put a life jacket on. And I remember on Monday, that was probably the standout moment for me, was when they finally lifted that boat up out of the water. You saw all of those life jackets there. And that was really where it punched you in the chest and said, wow.
That's a hard moment for sure. And it was something that, as one of our coworkers said, you always see what leads on national news, and to have it be something that's here was tough because it's such an unfortunate story.
And it's one of those things where, even when we worked during the day, we were getting calls and requests to talk across the country,
Yes.
with radio stations, with other CBS affiliates. But you're exactly right. You never expect in your own backyard, in the community that you've learned to love, that something this tragic was going to happen so close to home.
Something, though, will stick with the Ozarks, but something as well, as we pointed out, that hopefully people never forget, right?
Well, complete emotion, and we said this during the time when it actually had happened. The amount of generosity, the amount of care, the amount of just humanitarian effort that comes out of a culture like the Ozarks is insurmountable. I mean, this is a one-of-a-kind community that if they had a way to deal with this, it's here in the Ozarks.
And Daniel, we appreciate you coming on back to help shed a little light about this, because it's something that is a very big moment in the history of Branson.
Yeah, I appreciate being here.